Welcome to Digging the Details with Jim and Dean. I'm the Jim part of that, Jim Fanning, and I'd like to introduce my co-host, a wonderful artist, writer, historian, and a passionate historian of all things good, and that certainly includes Disney, Dean Brinkerhoff. Hey, Dean.
Hey, Jim. Thanks for that introduction. As always, welcome back to Digging the Details. I'm the Dean part of that equation as well. And I'd like to introduce Jim. Jim is an incredible historian, author, and, knowledgeable about everything as well. You are definitely someone I look up to in that way, Jim. You know so much.
Well, thank you, Dean. I did not script that for you. That was unsolicited, everyone. So, but as viewers of Digging the Details know, we often deal with Disney. And this is January 2023 as we're recording. So it's time to start celebrating Disney100. 100 years of wonder, as Disney is saying. So why don't you tell everyone why Disney is celebrating 100 years in 2023?
Well, Jim, in October of this year, there's going to be the 100th anniversary of the Walt Disney Company as it officially started. Walt Disney, of course, started making cartoons back in Kansas City, Missouri, but when failure after failure came his way, he ventured into the West, out to LA, and he and Roy started the Disney Brothers Studio. And so this year we're commemorating that, and for all of the wonderful characters they brought to pass, and for all of the memories that they share with us. And this year is very exciting to start looking back on the last 100 years of wonder, as they keep calling it, officially, because it is so wondrous, thinking about the impact that Disney culture and characters have impacted the world.
Wonder is magic. The way it dances into your bones, feeds your soul, and then comes up for air in the stars above. It's amazingly beautiful, yet so simply understood. Shared across generations, across time, across this whole wondrous world. Bursts of laughter, wide-eyed amazement, heart-stirring enchantment. These things unite us, elevate us, and pull us together in a way nothing else can. Because if we continue to surround ourselves with wonder, we will always find each other.
I only hope that we never lose sight of one thing, that it was all started by a mouse.
And you, Jim, of course, are hugely, greatly impacted by Walt Disney and everything that he did and brought to pass in Hollywood, because you work directly with that. And I know in my life as well, I devote a lot of time to researching and watching the entertainment they brought to the world. So it's a huge, huge part of my life, and definitely something I'm celebrating this year.
I guess that's one thing about these anniversaries. It really makes you stop and think, or gives you an opportunity to do so. And even to hear you talk about the beginnings with Walt and Roy, and Walt coming in 1923 right here to California. And then in 1940, the Disney studio opened right here in Burbank, where I am. So it's funny to think about the origins of things and the history. Before that, it was the Hyperion studio. I would definitely visit that if I could, but it no longer exists. I think it was torn down. It's a supermarket now. But there's a plaque commemorating what used to be there. And we'll have to go there sometime, and sometime when you're visiting in California, and we'll have to see it.
I definitely need to visit. Oh, yeah. I've been greatly blessed to have been able to visit the Walt Disney Studios with you, Jim, back in 2019, and I must say it was quite an experience and something that I'll treasure forever.
Well, great. It was one of my great visits there for sure. So we'll have to talk about that in a video someday.
That would be super fun.
But what we thought we would do now is talk about some of the things that Disney is doing to commemorate this anniversary, this once in a lifetime thing, 100 years, and some of the things that we're looking forward to. And I see that you have behind you, among all your treasures, including Oswald ears, you have one of the earliest pieces of merchandise to come out. Why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, I've got the Disney100 Years of Wonder breakfast cereal that was released by Post earlier this year. It's a fruity flavored sweetened cereal that features a lot of characters on the front, as you can see here. A couple vintage characters to celebrate the 100 years with Tinkerbell and Mickey Mouse, and then of course some Pixar friends, some newer Disney characters. But thankfully on the side we've got Alice and Dumbo among the newer ones. So I think that's really special that they were kind enough to include some of our favorite vintage characters, especially Mickey. He's the star. On the back they've got what looks like some new art of Mickey Mouse that I really love. And it does seem to have a bit of a strange little error with this there that I don't know if you want to include in the video, but I thought it was fun to point out. What is that? But it's got some images also on the top of guests experiencing and celebrating at Disney parks. So I think that's a nice touch as well, since that's a huge part of what we celebrate as Disney. I know I love Disneyland, and I long to visit some of the other Disney parks as well. But on the back, it has a really nice blurb that reads, Disney100 Years of Wonder, long live wonder. For 100 years, Disney stories have unlocked a special kind of wonder in our lives. The miracle moments and heart swells, the timeless wisdom and magic spells. So long live the adventurers, the illuminators, the beauties and the beasts, because when we surround ourselves with wonder, we will always find each other. Let's celebrate 100 years and make the next 100 more wonderful than ever. Isn't that great? I think it's really cool.
Yeah, I really like that. It's really beautifully done. It's not easy to sum up 100 years, and especially without being too specific. It really did a nice job of covering the wonder, as it were.
Yeah, I think so too.
I too have one of the cereals right here. I got one as well, in addition to the Disney100 cereal. I got this special edition of Mickey Mouse Club cereal, which I think
that one looks so cool.
It's such a great design. I mean, they used the original logo, which is so cool. And Post was calling it a limited edition, and they even used their vintage logo from the 50s and 60s anyhow. So that's really cool to see. I like it so much better than the current logo, which is based on this. But this has a punch to it, I think. It just looks great.
I like that too, Jim. That's a great detail you just dug up.
Well, we like to dig those details, and when we dig them, we end up digging them.
Like digging into a bowl of cereal.
Oh, just like that. Exactly. Very well stated. So I was kind of wondering why Post is the one issuing these cereals, because in my mind, Kellogg's is the Disney cereal licensee. Like just last year, they had, I always want to say lightsaber. They had Lightyear cereal and Hocus Pocus 2 cereal. But I think one of the reasons that maybe Post wanted to be involved is they were the original Disney cereal licensee. Post paid Disney $1 million in 1934 for the rights to use Mickey Mouse. And of course, that is a large amount of money today, but it was an astounding amount of money in 1934. Supposedly, that's worth $22 million in today's money.
Wow.
And it may have been a 10-year contract, because I know it went into the 1940s, or maybe they just renewed it. I don't know. And they are saying on their website and so forth that they're trying to celebrate their own history in conjunction with Disney's. So going back to 1934, That's a good long time ago. That was the basically within the first 10 years or so. So that's a great deal of history, and it's great to see them teaming up with Mickey Mouse again.
Yeah.
And this is a great box, and on the back it has, like you said, some Disney fans celebrating Disney, and it has the same copy that you read on the back. It also has this wonderful drawing, this wonderful art, which I believe is new, but is done in the vintage style. So kind of looking forward to having this cereal. This is confetti cake cereal, so I guess birthday cake flavored. Yeah, and I think I'll like that better than the fruit flavored Disney100 cereal. I don't really like fruit slip.
I think I will too.
Oh, all right. Well, we'll have to do a taste comparison for sure.
For sure.
But I don't really like fruit flavored cereal, but I don't know why I say that, because I like Fruit Loops, so I don't know. But anyhow, I think this appeals to me more. But the box is fantastic, and I'm glad you have it as well. That brings me to my first thing to celebrate, or that I'm looking forward to in the Disney100 celebration, which is merchandise. And needless to say, there's going to be tons of special Disney merchandise, so it's really kind of fun to see it. Some of it has already been introduced. Something that's very special to me is Disney Editions is releasing some great books to tie in with Disney100. And as some of you know, I'm working as a senior editor with Disney Edition, so I got to work on some of the special books that are being issued. At least 2 of them have already been announced. They're up for pre-order. That is a reissue of Bob Thomas's classic 1976 biography of Walt Disney, which is still the best book on Walt Disney. Bob Thomas knew Walt Disney personally and knew him for years and interviewed him many times. So I think that greatly and positively influences the book he wrote about Walt. To make it extra special, because the funny thing is it's been in print all these years. I think it was reprinted in 1996, if I'm remembering correctly, and it's been in print ever since. There's a constant, steady demand for that book. So to make the new edition very special, we added, as sort of an appendix, a lot of references from other books that have shed a lot of light on, that add more detail to what Bob wrote. So, for instance, Mindy Johnston's book on women at Disney, she uncovered a lot of new information that wasn't known back then when Bob wrote the book. And something like, I believe Jeff Curdy's Travels with Walt book is in there as well, that gives a lot of details on the many trips that Walt took. So there's quite a bit of information from other Disney books that just enhance what Bob has already written. So that's kind of cool. There's also a Walt quote book that is adding a lot more Walt Disney quotes to this official Disney published collection of Walt quotes. So that's very cool. One thing I think is really cool is one of the adult coloring books that are so popular these days. And a lot of adults have discovered that it's very therapeutic and relaxing to color. One of the latest is 100 Images to Inspire Creativity. And wow. It's curated by the Walt Disney Archives. The staff of the Walt Disney Archives chose all these great vintage coloring book images and took some historic photos and turned them into coloring book pages and all kinds of cool things. So I love it. I think it's one of the best things I've seen. I didn't get to work on that too much myself, but I did see it before it was published and worked on it a little bit. So that's a really fun title. Plus, there's more to come. And then the whole scenic theme, if you will, of the Disney100 celebration is platinum. So there's a platinum collection that focuses on really great art of Mickey and his friends. Not the Fab Five, because you can't leave out Daisy. So it's the Sensational Six, including Daisy. And they also include some of the supporting characters like Chip and Dale. So that's really fun. And Disney just announced that there's a Target tie-in. Apparently, there's going to be merchandise exclusive at Target. So that's really fun to see. And there's going to be all kinds of things that I think we'll be surprised by. So it's fun to just even see the new memorabilia coming out.
That all sounds really exciting, Jim. I am definitely a big fan of the Bob Thomas book, and I'll be really thrilled to see some of the additions they've made to that. I believe I have one of those 1996 reprints, but fantastic book. We'll have to do a video on that one of these times. Do a reread and come back with some of our notes.
So, Dean, what do you have for something that you're looking forward to in the Disney 100 celebration?
I have something I'm really looking forward to is the D23 member gift. The annual gift that comes with each membership is really cool every single year. And this year, they've got a special edition platinum statue of Mickey Mouse. It's the Mickey Mouse Leader of the Club milestone statue. Its designer is James Fauntleroy. James Fauntleroy is an artist, and he's partnered with Gentle Giant Studios to create this wonderful statue that is available to all D23 Gold members with their renewed membership or brand new membership anytime this year. I'll probably get mine later in the year, sadly, so I won't be able to enjoy it right away. But I'm kind of thrilled about that in a way because it'll be closer to the actual 100th anniversary, which is October 16th.
And one detail you dug up is that it's being done in association with Gentle Giants, which I did not know. So I think that's really awesome. They do some great stuff.
Yeah, they sure do. From the D23 website, it says its goal is to pay tribute to the Walt Disney Company's rich legacy of unmatched creativity and inspire the next century of storytellers. So that sounds like you and I, and it sounds pretty inspiring. And all
Wow,
those who have come before us and will come after. So I think that's really cool.
I really like how they put that. That's really amazing.
I do too.
And it makes me think that, I mean, when they're talking about storytellers, I think they mean Disney storytellers, like people that are creating the films and so forth. But isn't it interesting? We just talked about Bob Thomas, who certainly is one of the premier and pioneering Disney historians. So we're standing on his shoulders, that's for sure.
That is for sure.
Well, I'm certainly glad you brought up D23. D23 came into existence in 2009, so it hasn't even been around that long relative to the 100 years, but it's certainly the fan club that officially celebrates all things Disney. So obviously they're going to be doing some really fun things.
Yes.
In addition to the membership gift. And one of the things I'm most looking forward to, even though I might not be able to participate myself, is because they'll be reporting on it, so we can all enjoy the details, even if we're not there ourselves. But I'm referring to later this year, D23 is having an event in Marceline, Missouri. And I always think they've done that a couple times in the past, and I always think it's really exciting to bring attention to Marceline and its Walt Disney hometown museum there. For those who don't know, Marceline is where Walt spent a number of his formative years in his childhood. He was born in Chicago, but he and his family moved to Marceline for a relatively short time, because after that they moved to Kansas City. But Walt always said that Marceline was such an important part of his life, and that's where he discovered animals and trains and all kinds of things that were so important to him. So it's always great fun, and I think important for people to know about and celebrate Marceline.
It's a very formative era for Walt.
And that event's going to take place in June 2023. So check out the D23 website, and if there's any way that you, the viewer, can attend, I guarantee it's going to be something really special.
I sure am looking forward to it. And that ties in, Jim, right with something else that I'm excited about too. Um, every couple of years, D23 also has their special events. Last year we had the D23 Expo, which was huge, and they gave out some of the first announcements for the Disney 100 celebration. But this year they're having their Destination D event, which will happen in the fall, and that will include a lot of new fun look looking back at the last 100 years and some celebrations about that, some of the milestones of the Walt Disney Company, as well as looking forward with some fun announcements they do every time one of these is held. And I'm always excited and thrilled to see some of the new trailers and announcements for the Disney parks. So that'll be really fun as well.
And where is that being held? Is that being held at Walt Disney World?
Yep, I believe that they've moved them permanently out there. Which stinks because Destination D is one of the experiences I had as a teenager that really was a huge milestone in my Disney historian formation. Really, that event was held in 2012 at the Disneyland Hotel, and there I got to meet all kinds of Disney legends, including Dave Smith himself and some of the legendary animators and actors. So I have a very special place in my heart for Destination D, and I try to tune in every year. But it's sad that I'm here on the West Coast and it's always on the East Coast now. But we do got to share the Disney love over there.
Yeah, because that I think that partially because in the early years of D23, most of the events were here, which makes sense because
Yeah,
their headquarters are here, and of course Disneyland is here, and the expos are held here.
yeah,
So the people in on the other side of the country were like, well, we need some things closer to Walt Disney World so we can attend, or at Walt Disney World, in fact. So I think that that's the reason to that, to try to bring some balance to the expo
yeah.
here in California. So,
And for
but
those who may not have been to either one, the Destination D event is basically a D23 Expo just on a smaller scale. So I think it's really neat. It can be sometimes a bit more intimate, and you can have a little more time to meet some of these people and hear their stories. I got to hear some great stories straight from Bob Gurr's mouth. That was priceless, and I can never forget those couple days I spent at Destination D. So I'm always really excited when they announce a new one, and this one's going to be big.
I think that's a wonderful thing to be doing in this anniversary year. And again, the great thing for people that cannot make the Destination D is there'll be a big report about it on the D23 website, and
Ah,
lots of information, lots of photos, lots of video. So we can still kind of share in it even if we're not able to attend in person. So that's great for all of us.
that
Uh,
is.
and that makes me think of the next thing that I'm excited about, and that is the official Disney 100, the exhibition. And that is curated in large part by the Walt Disney Archives. That is going to be at various places throughout the celebratory year of 2023, debuting on February 18th at the Franklin Institute in Philadelphia. The Walt Disney Archives has more than 250 of its crown jewels from its collection that are going to be on exhibit that cover the entire history of the company. They include, if you can believe this, the steamboat whistle used for the Steamboat Willie soundtrack. I'm amazed at that. There's also going to be things like the magic ring from the Shaggy Dog that Tommy Kirk wore. There's going to be the prop storybook from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs that's actually used in the film. Disneyland Employee Badge #1, which was issued to Walt Disney, and he was always very proud of that. So that's just a few of the things. Also, I think this is pretty incredible. There's going to be a soundtrack to the exhibition. Steve Mazzaro has composed that soundtrack, and I guess it's a new theme, but it also incorporates such beloved classics as When You Wish Upon a Star. So that sounds very exciting to me that there's actually like a musical soundtrack to this exhibition. I don't think that's very typical at all. And
No,
seems like a great big Disney touch to
that is really
include.
exciting.
Yeah. What else have you got on your list?
Well, there's a lot of fun things happening over at Disneyland Park, which is very, very relatively close to us, which is seeming to be atypical of some of these celebrations. I know there's lots of stuff going up as far as decor, and special banners are being placed around the park for anniversaries and year commemorations for a lot of the attractions that are either opening day or, quite vintage, such as some of the dark rides in Fantasyland. And I think it's really cool that they're remembering some of those. Also, there's going to be some new attractions and some new nighttime spectaculars. One of them being the new World of Color show. It'll be called World of Color 1, and it'll incorporate a lot of milestone scenes and characters from throughout the Disney canon. And World of Color is something always that's been fun for me to experience whenever I go to Disney California Adventure. So I hope I can make it out and get to see that. Jim, you were going to mention the other one.
Well, yeah, one of the things I'm definitely looking forward to is Wondrous Journeys, which is a nighttime spectacular that will be at Disneyland as part of that celebration that you're talking about. Wondrous Journeys is a celebration of all the animated features that Disney has created since the first, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs in 1937. So that's going to include things like Treasure Planet and maybe even the package features and things like the Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad, which is a package feature. But in other words, they're saying that it's going to celebrate each and every one of the animated features. So to have some of the ones that are less celebrated and maybe even less known, like maybe The Sword in the Stone, say, it's going to be fun to have those celebrated, and it'll be very interesting to see how they do it.
I like how diverse they're going to be with it and include some of our lesser known favorites. I know as Disney historians, we love hearing about the package films and some of the, like you mentioned, like The Sword in the Stone, that are still beloved, but maybe not quite as well known.
Yeah, I agree. And they're going to have some really fun touches like having Baymax fly above Sleeping Beauty Castle and just really unusual things like that. It's going to bring in a lot of elements like the projections. So Main Street USA, Sleeping Beauty Castle, the Small World facade, and even the Rivers of America are all going to be part of this. So it's almost like across the park.
How huge! My gosh.
Yeah. And it's going to be just a spectacular use of the projection technology that they have. So there haven't been a lot of details released, but that's the fun of it. It's going to be amazing to see exactly how it's done and what music is used and what pieces of animation. And I'm wondering if there will be any Easter egg type surprises that will be fun to discover. So it'll just be very fascinating to see exactly how they're celebrating each of these films.
I'm thrilled to see that show for myself as well. It sounds like it's going to be very well done with lots of nice touches and could end up being quite an emotional journey.
Yeah, and you're right. You're right. I'm sure it will be. It needs to be. It should be that. Looking at a 100 years of these wonderful creations that only Disney could do. What do you have next on your list of things you're looking forward to? These are really cool. I'm learning a lot from the details that you have dug up.
Something I'm also excited about to help celebrate all of the anniversaries that are coming is the individual anniversaries of some of the greatest short subjects and eventual feature films that rolled out as part of the as the result of the company being formed. So this year, some of the anniversaries we're going to see are from the Alice comedies, which were some of Walt Disney's official first films. And I have a set that was released several years ago, the Walt Disney Treasures line, that includes some of these Disney rarities, celebrated shorts from the 1920s through the 1960s. But I'm going to hone in on 1923 myself this year. When I research a film, I like to do a deep dive by watching the film and any, corresponding commentaries or book readings from various authors, taking time to write their thoughts. And I always find analytical thesis is fascinating on some of these films and short subjects. So I am definitely going to be doing some of that this year, watching through these and hearing some of the great words of Leonard Maltin and some of the other fascinating historians. And then with the booklet for this, Leonard Maltin has a nice little spread that he wrote. While delving into some of the rare Disney treasures, we couldn't resist adding some examples of his first successful series, the Alice comedies of the 1920s. These silent films gave Walt his first foothold in the animation business and brought him to Hollywood, along with his pint-sized star Virginia Davis. It's remarkable that these simply produced short subjects are still so entertaining after 80-some years. Now, at the time, it was about 80 years, but now we're at the 100th anniversary. So it's amazing, like he says, how well these hold up. The comedy is still there, and the humor and the ingenious animation that revolutionized the times. It certainly wasn't the first time that anyone had put live action and animation together, but it was pure magic when Walt Disney was able to put Virginia Davis into cartoon land. And I've always found it to be a really fun subject, and to see his first star. And something else about that short is that Walt Disney stars in it himself. So it's quite fun to see him at the drawing board with Virginia or Alice, and see their interaction together. I think it's important to remember Alice's Wonderland being basically the first short subject and film that the Disney company produced officially, which led to the creation of several other characters, including Mickey Mouse, whom, of course, we know and love. I'm going to get to him, too, later on.
Well, it's great to go back to the very beginning, and especially anything about Walt Disney himself, without whom none of this would exist. So good for you, Dean. Now, are you going to be producing any of your TikTok videos or any of your review videos or things like that?
As part of my celebration and research into these films that were so milestone and monumental to the Disney company, I will be producing some of my own video shorts found on TikTok and YouTube and some various places that we can link below. But I definitely have a lot of fun sharing those, and as well as doing these videos with you, Jim. It's fun in any capacity to share and explore knowledge, especially on fun topics like this. So,
well, I always enjoy watching what you produce. What is your TikTok account called?
On the Brink. So find me out in the TikTok universe, but it's On the Brink 94.
And I know from personal experience, just searching On the Brink is going to bring it up in the search, so it's very easy to find. Well, you talked about a film made in 1923. I'm going to talk about a film being made in 2023 that I'm very excited about, which is this latest animated feature that will be released in November, which is called simply Wish. It's got some major talent behind it. It's being co-directed by Chris Buck and art direction by Mike Giamo, two friends of mine, I'm happy to say, and two Disney artists that are working in the contemporary Disney who are extremely what I would call Walt-worthy. They hold his banner high. And the whole purpose of this animated feature that's being produced as we speak is to salute the heritage of the Disney animated films. It's being very consciously and deliberately designed to be a tribute to the heritage, the Disney heritage of all the wonderful Disney animated films, whether created by Walt or his successors. And to that end is incorporating the best of the modern technology of computer generated animation, but also incorporating hand drawn animation in what they are describing as a very special way. So, from what I've heard, it's going to be very beautiful and very unexpected and something kind of brand new. So, it's so thrilling to hear about the Disney company really looking back at all the classics on which the whole thing is built, the whole Disney thing, and making this special film that is very emotionally and beautifully saluting all that. So if it's being pulled off the way that I know the creators are hoping it will be, it's going to be a very emotional experience and a very beautiful one.
It's thrilling to hear that exciting news. I always love catching the new film from Disney at the end of the year, and this sounds like it's sure going to be a special one.
It does, and it's kind of a great culmination of the 100th anniversary year. So I have great expectations for that particular feature.
So do I.
So it'll be wonderful to experience.
Well, Jim, from celebrations across the country, found in Disney parks and in our own homes, I think Disney 100 is going to live on very strong this year with more surprises to come that I'm very excited about, and I know that you all will be able to experience. I'm really thrilled by this conversation that we've been able to have that brings a lot of more excitement and magic to what we're about to experience. And I know that there's going to be a lot more fun videos from Tulgey TV here on YouTube, as well as from, On the Brink. But we hope to celebrate more Digging the Details videos with you this year, and as well as our own individual videos. But we are grateful for the time we had today to share some exciting news and things we're looking forward to.
Yes, and to celebrate this year-long celebration, Dean and I are definitely planning some special Digging the Details episodes to focus on some things we are particularly happy about from 100 Years of Wonder.
Yeah.
So please look for our next episode, which we hope will be premiering soon. And we'll have some surprises of our own. So until the next time, he's Dean.
And he's Jim.
And we'll see you next time on Digging the Details.